Welcome back to the podcast, Catch It, A New Perception. My name is Ketuk. Looking forward is what I like to do more than anything else. And as I spoke on the last episode about the idea of what I want to focus on, you're probably not going to hear much about my health condition today. It's not any better. Some people might say it's gotten worse. And I'm happy today to be gifted the breath of life. I am fortunate today to see the morning star rise. Life's good. I look forward to tomorrow also. And thinking about this podcast and how we move forward and how we move through it, I was thinking about something that's rather dear to my heart. And that has to do with the people who are in their 90s in my life. I have known some people to hit 100, didn't commune a lot with them once they did. When I'm talking about people in my life, I had a great-grandmother when I was young that was in her 90s. I had another grandmother come into her 90s. Another grandmother more recently. The middle one was a great-grandmother also. And one of my maternal grandmother was in her 90s when she took her long journey not long ago, a couple of years back. And I've had some friends in their 90s through the years. Back in the 1990s when I started to befriend this guy, he was in his 80s and he was in his 90s before he took his long journey. And he became a very close friend of mine. And then I've had other mentors. And presently there's a couple people in their 90s. One of them is a spiritual advisor of mine. Uncle Al is in his 90s. And there's another woman that's in her 90s who I text with periodically. I say that, I would say lately it's been weekly. We get together once in a while. She doesn't drive anymore. He doesn't drive anymore. That's one of the things about someone once they reach their 90s, sometimes they're not as mobile. And I still commune with them to the best of my ability. I remember Joseph, I would get together with him on a weekly basis. And when I first started meeting with him, we would go grab a bite to eat somewhere. And then all of a sudden, we'd go to his house for a bite to eat. And then other people would join us. And it became a group of us just getting together once a week for breakfast. And I like that. I like being around the elders and what it is that they can teach me, what it is I can learn from them, how they have moved through life up to this point, how they still live a good life. Some of them have a little better health than others. Always happy for the conversation, always happy for me to sit next to them, give them a kiss on the cheek, a kiss on the forehead, a hug. Wonderful people. And I think about it as the balance of life. When I was a lot younger, I liked people in their 90s. This is the last generation of whatever it is. I've happened to know more from the silent generation than the greatest generation. Nevertheless, some of them were actually born in the greatest generation, obviously, and just prior to. Some of them that were my great-grandparents were prior to the greatest generation. And so now there's a new generation coming up in their 90s. And I really appreciate all of them. I appreciate being able to commune with people. I have a group of youth that I meet with every week. And I may be somewhat of a mentor to them. I get it. And because of the work that I'm doing with them. And I get to commune with them. And I get to talk with them. And I get to connect with them. They're going to teach me something. I have people of my generation. I have people of a generation younger than me. And now the youth are a couple generations younger. And so I'm communing with people of all of these different generations, and I have for a number of decades. I think it's one thing that allows me to get to know my higher self, gets me to see the world different, gets me to see it's not always going to be like this, gets me to see it's not always been like this, gets me to see what I need to see in me to change something in me. So I have a new focus, a new outlook, a new perception, so that I realize I'm not always right. I realized that it was a little harder at one time. Watch people go through very difficult things. My father didn't get to be anywhere near his 90s. He was in his 60s when he took his long journey, and he took his long journey having cancer. And I get it. We watch people who lose their health along the way that still make the best of it. A couple of days that stand out to me was as my father's health was failing and taking my daughters down to see him one day. I remember the day pretty well. I remember watching a football game with him, and that wasn't really his thing. It was just kind of on in the background. It was more about being able to just be with him, and my daughters to spend some time with him. I think that's cool. I get it. He's not in his 90s. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is connecting with other generations. When I was younger and I was a youth, I connected with people of my generation, and that's all I had. I didn't know how to connect with someone who was older than me. I didn't know how to connect with somebody younger than me. I didn't know how to connect with people much at all. So I did my best to try to fit in because I didn't know how to connect. Once I learned how to connect, I didn't want to stop that on a particular people of a particular age group. And I'm going to speak a little bit today of some of these elders in their 90s. And I think of my great-grandmother. And when I was young, she was in her 90s, and she was born in the 1800s, and just going over and getting a cookie just the way she made them. It was a sugar cookie, but it wasn't like any other sugar cookies because she put something special in it. And in her 90s, I don't know if she ever burnt a batch. I had never seen a cookie that was not perfect coming out of that cookie jar. It was amazing. She just went through life the way she did. She appreciated visitors. My mom, that generation, my generation. My grandfather, who was her son, his generation. And she taught me at a young age, she never told me this, she taught me at a young age that you can connect with every generation, no matter where you are in life. This is essential in my journey, was learning to connect with people who were generations older than me. One of the guys that I mentored was older, I would say, as my grandparents' age. Real interesting cat. And I was mentoring him. Because I started on this journey to start to change my perception before he did, and he wanted to learn how to change his perception, how to see the world different, how to see himself different. I think about people like Roger, and then I think about other grandparents as I was coming up. And my grandmother doesn't live near me when she was late in life. The last grandmother that I had, she moved by the name of Rita. And I would go see Grandma Rita. And I would go out of my way when I was in town to see her specifically. And I didn't see a lot of other people because it was always making sure I saw her. And she had the great ability to be able to live in assisted living and eventually in a nursing home. And it made for her to be able to live on her own in the assisted living for as long as possible. And then when she needed more assistance, she was able to get it. And I was able to visit her everywhere she lived. It's kind of cool in my lifetime to think of someone that lived into their 90s and I visited them in every place they were ever lived in. Pretty neat for me. I think about these people like Joseph or Lee, and I've maybe mentioned them before. Really, really incredible people. They both lived into their 90s. And Lee was the type of guy that could teach us something through his actions. And it was so amazing to watch his kindness, his generosity of love, his ability to be able to connect with you, to respect you. There was no way you couldn't respect him. You'd sit in a room with him and he's the guy you want to talk to. There might be 12, 24 people in the room. There might be more. But somehow he was the one I wanted to connect with. I find it interesting that I've been attracted to the elders for a period of time. Maybe because the elders that I have been around have lost that bitterness. If they even had it, I don't know. They don't have contempt. They don't want to sit a juxtaposition from someone. They just want to connect. I really think that it's what got my attention in wanting to spend time with them, is they just wanted to connect with another human being. I hope that each one of you find a way to connect with the people in the world, and not people of just one generation. Hopefully it's not just your kids or just your grandkids. And I know how important my kids are to me. I get it. To no end, I get it. I love my grandkids. Unbelievable the way I love them. I can just watch them and I enjoy life, watching them do anything. So I get it. I don't want to make it just about that. I want to have people of my generation in my life for as long as I can, the generation that came before me. And there are some of those of the generation that came before them still around. I want these people in my life. And then there's the generation that comes after me. I want to be able to commune with these people. I want to be able to sit with them and talk with them and have intimate conversations that matter about how they feel and how they think, who they are. I want to hear about the dreams. I want to hear about the dreams from the generation that's coming up, that young generation right now. I want to hear about those dreams and where they want to go. I want to see how they dwarf their dreams. They move so far beyond it, they never even could imagine. I hear the dreams of the ones that came before me and the elders to me and how they made their dreams come true. They did everything they could have ever wanted and more than they ever imagined themselves doing. This is what I think it's about, connectiveness. Learning that I can learn from every generation coming in. I will learn from the generation that's not here yet. I have learned much from the generation that's already moved on. The generation that is the eldest right now is a wonderful generation to commune with, to sit with and listen, to connect with, to be one with. Yeah, there's my generation and we can talk. My generation may be people about my age, maybe 10 years older, maybe 10 years younger. I get it. It's kind of the same generation possibly. I get it. And there are those ones that are coming up, that are young, that are youth. And I will connect with them. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I do look forward to it. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world. Doksha, okay?